Throughout the length of this course, we have heard about the Cambrian explosion. From the first video we watched, back during the Week 1 through Week 2 module, we learned from the Cambrian explosion was a massive growth in life that occurred about 550 million years ago. This explosion was the beginning of more advanced forms of life. PBS.org says that for most of the nearly 4 billion years that life has existed on Earth, evolution produced little beyond bacteria, plankton, and multicelled algae. But beginning about 600 million years ago, in the Precambrian, the fossil record speaks of more rapid change. As we learned in the last module, 600 million years ago was the age of the Stromatolites. This was a time when Earth's atmosphere was inhospitable to any form of advanced life form, partially due to its lack of oxygen. The slide stated that the oxygen level at this time was only 1%. As the atmosphere began to change and more oxygen entered into it, a new protective layer around the Earth, called the ozone layer, was created. This helped aid the development of more advanced life forms. The Cambrian explosion, according to PBS, began about 570 million years ago, when another burst of diversification occurred, with the eventual appearance of the lineages of almost all animals living today. It is important to note that life has been on Earth for approximately 3.6 billion years. So why did it all of a sudden leap forward in a massive jump of evolution? That answer is still a topic of major debate, according to fossilmuseum.net. They continue by saying that while some scientists believe there was indeed an explosion of diversity, which they call punctuated equilibrium theory, others believe that such rapid acceleration of evolution is not possible, and instead they posit that there was an extended period of evolutionary progression of all the animal groups, the evidence for which is lost in the Precambrian fossil record. The reason why so little is known about the Precambrian era is because prior to the Cambrian explosion, there was a lack of hard pieces in organisms in the Precambrian era. However, there are fossils of the trails that the organisms at the end of this time created. Fossilmuseum.net says that these transitional fossil forms support the hypothesis that diversification was well underway before the Cambrian began, leading us to believe that the latter hypothesis is more likely. In those few 40 million years of the Cambrian explosion, however, every known phylum of organisms we have today was created, making us believe that there was a sudden burst of diversity that never happened before. This doesn't mean that life then was the same as it is now. Back during the Cambrian explosion, according to evolution.berkeley.edu, all life was aquatic, most life was relatively small, and many animals had unusual body layouts. On this page, they have an animation of what the creatures from this time period looked like. Many of the creatures, to give an example of how strange these organisms were, could be described as having the body of a trilobite, the fins of a cuttlefish, 5 eyes, and a claw like a crab's attached to a long tube extending from its mouth. This strange creature was called an Opabinia and is not an existing member of any known phylum, but it lived alongside arthropods, mollusks, chordates, and ossicophorans. The ossicophorans have survived for a long time. Evolution.berkeley.edu continues this topic by saying that the onsicophorans have weathered all of Earth's mass extinctions, but have never become a very diverse group. There are fewer than 100 species of onsicoforan alive today. The example for this phylum that they give us, the Hallucigenia, is different from the ones alive today. The Hallucigenia had many legs that it used to scuttle along the seafloor, with spikes shooting off from its narrow body to protect its soft innards from predators. It also had small feelers around its mouth to help pull in food. There were also ancient sponges that lived during this time that are similar to those alive today.